Hello, my friends. Welcome to class. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. My name is Akila, and I'm going to be taking you through a Vinyasa flow. This is going to be targeted towards people that are sitting in front of a desk all day, and potentially you're working a 9 to 5. Maybe you're hunched over a computer screen for the majority of your day. So this class is designed for you to open things up and make you feel a little bit less stiff from working all day. And each class that I teach, I choose to highlight a charity. So I encourage you, if you take this class, if you enjoy it, please do consider subscribing to the charity that I highlight for the class. So today I'm going to be highlighting the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So if you are on your way into the office, if you've taken this class, maybe consider, instead of buying that $7 Starbucks, maybe opt for giving a donation instead and bring your coffee from home that morning. So it's a very important cause. Please consider donating. And I don't want to chat too much. We'll get into class. So I have 2 blocks. I'll just be giving you some options if you like to have blocks to bring the floor closer, but they're certainly not a requirement. So you can just have those handy off to the side of your mat. And we'll get started in a child's pose. So big toes are going to come together, knees come wide towards the edges of the mat, and then walking the hands forward. If you'd like to, you can bring one of your blocks underneath of the chest for support, maybe one under the forehead as well. And starting here to draw long inhales through the nose. And then feel a brief floating buoyancy at the top of the breath before you let the exhale out. And I encourage you to work through class today maintaining the lips sealed and breathing in and out exclusively through the nose. This type of breathing is called Ujjayi breath. So on the exhales, your sound you create sounds like an ocean wave a little bit. Inhales, feel the ribs expand laterally. And then exhales, maybe the hips sink a little bit more towards the heels. Sit bones are shining towards the back of the mat. And then if you have the blocks underneath of you to help prop you up, you can just scooch them off to the side now. And we're going to stay in our child's pose, but walk the fingertips over towards the top right corner of the mat. And you can take the left hand and place it on top of the right hand, getting a gentle side body stretch. Inhale, breathing, opening up the left side of the body, imagining as if the ribs were an accordion spreading. And then exhale, settle the chest any amount more down towards the floor. And inhale, walk it back through the center. And then exhale, taking it to the other side. So hands walk over towards the left. Right hand can drape over top of the left hand. Inhale, lengthening down the right side of the body, spreading through the rib cage. And exhale, let the pose settle. Maybe the chest falls a little bit heavier towards the floor. And then inhale, we walk the hands back through the center. And then press up through tabletop position. So knees come directly underneath of the hips, wrists underneath of the shoulders. And then bring the knees to a little hover, press into the toes. Knees lift just about an inch above the floor. A long line from the crown of the head towards the tailbone. Flat back as much as you can. If you're finding your head drooping like this, try and pull the neck up towards the ceiling. One more inhale here. And then exhale, gently start to lift the hips up and back, keeping the knees bent here. So generous bend in the knees. Pressing firmly into the palms of the hands. All 10 of the fingers are facing forward as much as you can. So if you find the fingertips are flaring outwards or maybe pointing inwards towards each other, see if you can try and straighten them out. And then inhale, rolling from the base of the spine forward, coming through to a plank pose. With control, we try and pull the right knee in towards the right elbow. If you can, see if you can lift that right knee up to the outer edge of the right shoulder. And see if you can step the foot outside of the hand. You may need to use the hand on the back of the calf to scooch it up. From here, back knee drops. Blocks can come to either side of the front foot, or fingertips can come to the mat. And we open across the front of the chest. So we want to think about the front knee tracking directly over the front toes. And back toes can be tucked, or you can let them release. And then next time you take an inhale, you'll take the fingertips to interlace behind the head. And then start to lean the head back into the hands, creating a basket for the back of the head, and lifting the chest up and forward. So coming into a micro back bend here, elbows are flaring. And as much as you can, let the weight of the head relax into the hands. One more inhale here. And then exhale. You can start to sit the hips back. Fingertips can come to blocks if you need the balance. Or you can keep the hands interlaced behind the head and start to curl in. Bring the elbows towards each other, as if you would tap the elbows. Yours might not reach each other, mine certainly don't. And then we'll alternate, so rebending into the front knee, peeling the elbows open, head sits back. Then exhale, sitting the hips back. Maybe elbows come towards touching. Or fingertips come to the blocks. Inhale pulls you forward, chest peels open towards the sky. And then exhale, sitting hips back, straightening into the front knee, coming for your half split. Elbows come towards touching. Inhale takes it back forward to your low lunge. Hands can release from the interlace at the back of the head. And then plant into the hands, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee. And then sending that right leg up and back, extending the leg long, coming into a three-legged dog. Maybe you take a few circles of the ankle. Maybe the inhales take the left heel to lift away from the mat, and then exhales, let that heel fall heavy. And then let the right leg release down, coming into a downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet out if you'd like to. Again, you can take that bent knee variation of the down dog, lengthening into the spine. And if downward facing dog is not very restful for you, you're more than welcome to drop it down to a child's pose again. Next time you take an inhale, you roll forward through to the plank pose. Checking in with the alignment here, you're pressing firmly into both hands and both feet. Imagining the fronts of the hip bones are lifting up, as if they could connect to the fronts of the shoulders. Next time you take an exhale, bend into the left knee, pull the left knee into the left elbow. Big exhale as you pull that knee up towards the shoulder and see if you can step it outside of the hand. Back knee drops and then fingertips come either to blocks or they can interlace behind the head. Back toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever's more stable for you. And this inhale, the elbows are peeling open. You create a basket in the hands for the head. And then exhale, sit it back, straighten in the front leg. And then around into the spine. Elbows come towards meeting. Inhale, rebend into the front knee, low lunge, elbows peel open. Gaze comes up to the sky. And then exhale, we curl in, extend into the front leg. Inhale, bend, peel open. Elbows wide. And then exhale, sit it back. Straightening into the front leg, elbows come to meet. And then we come back through the center, back through your low lunge, planting the hands, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, and sending the left leg up and back for your three-legged dog. And again, you can circle through the ankles if you'd like to. Maybe you take an inhale to lift high onto the right heel. And then exhale, let it settle down towards the mat. And then moving back through our downward facing dog. Again, the option is there to come down to a child's pose if you'd like it. Next inhale takes the gaze forward to meet the hands. And the right foot is going to step all the way outside of the right hand. So finding this low lunge again, fingertips maybe come to the blocks or floor. But this time we're lifted with the back knee, chest pulling forward, and then the left heel driving back. You're more than welcome to take a little shift forward and back if you'd like to. And same options. So hands come to interlace behind the head. And then we take it into that high crescent lunge with the variation of the head falling back into the hands. Really lengthening through that back leg. Exhale, back the hips up, straighten into the front leg, coming into a variation on pyramid pose. Maybe elbows come together or fingertips come to the blocks for stability. Inhale, peeling the elbows open as you rebend into the front knee. And exhale, sitting the hips back, elbows come towards to meet. Last time, inhale, peel the elbows open, pull the heart through the space you're creating. And then exhale, sit it back, lengthening into the front knee. Elbows come towards meeting. Inhale, come back through the high crescent lunge. Maybe the arms reach up. Hands can meet for prayer. And then exhale, we step forward, fold at the top of the mat. So left foot steps to right foot to meet. Let it fold over. Rolling all the way up to stand. Option here to interlace the hands behind the back, or maybe you just bring the hands, palms to the low back. And we're going to start to pull the chest up and forward, really grounding into the feet. If you have the interlace of the hands, the knuckles pulled down towards the floor, chest lifts. And then if the palms of the hands are to the base of the spine, then you press gently, lifting the chest up and back. And wherever you are, we'll release over, come to the forward fold. You can keep the interlace of the hands if you have it. And then taking a gentle bend into the right knee. Let the right shoulder drop towards the right knee, and then take it to the left. Bend into the left knee. Left shoulder drops in. Back through the center. Right shoulder drops towards right knee. Sorry, my rights and lefts are all backwards. And then inhale through the center, exhale, left shoulder to left knee. My students that take my class in person know that at least once per class there's going to be a mix-up with the rights and lefts. Luckily, they all know how I teach and they all know what I'm talking about. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward slightly, hands can come to shins. And then exhale, bend the knees to plant the hands. Step it back, finding your downward facing dog. If you like to add a vinyasa in, you're more than welcome, but we're not going to be doing too many chaturangas or vinyasas today, so feel free to take the liberty to add them in on your own. Next inhale, gaze comes forward to the hands, and then exhale, step the left foot outside of the left hand. Peeling the chest up and open, coming into that high crescent lunge, hands to interlace behind the back of the head. And then inhale, elbows peel open, head falls back into the hands. Exhale, we shift the hips back, straighten into the front knee, maybe round into the spine, elbows come towards to meet. Then inhale, peels you open, finding the high crescent lunge with the elbows pulling wide. Exhale, round into the spine, elbows come towards to meet. Inhale, take it up and open. And then exhale, shift the hips back, straightening into the front knee mount, rounding into the spine, elbows come to meet. Inhale, we peel open, maybe arms reach up, palms to touch. And then exhale, fingertips come down to meet the front foot, right steps to left. And come into a forward fold. Inhale, rolling all the way up to stand, arms reach out and up overhead. And then exhale, either cactus at the elbows, pulling the chest wide. This is option 1. Option 2, hands to low back. Or interlacing the fingers, reaching the knuckles down towards the floor. Try for the opposite thumb on top this time. Inhale, grounds into the heels, lifts the sternum up and back. It's more about lifting and opening across the chest than it is about bending backwards. And then exhale, let it fold over the legs. Option to keep the interlace of the hands. Maybe the knuckles pull towards the wall in front of you. And then same option to take that bend of the left knee, left shoulder comes towards it. And then shifting it over to the other side, walking it out a few times. And then once you're even on both sides and you feel good, you can start to release the interlace of the hands. Fingertips come down towards the mat. Inhale, lengthens the spine forward. And then exhale, plant the hands. And then step the feet back about halfway down your mat. And bring the knees to a hover again for that hovering tabletop. Thinking about the belly button knitting in strong towards the spine. And it's not about sucking in the belly, but it's about engaging the core in a different way than you might be used to. Inhale, the rib cage spreads wide as you fill the lungs. And then exhale, thinking about knitting the ribs towards each other, belly button pulls into spine. One more breath here. And then exhale, we're going to tap the knees to the mat and come up to standing on the shins. So here you can take your blocks with you. You can take them just slightly behind the knees to the outer edges of the feet. So we're going to take it into a camel pose. So similar options, you can take the hands to the low back for support, or as you start to pull the chest open and send the hips forward, maybe you drop your fingertips to the blocks. And once you've found them, maybe you find they're a little bit too far forward, you can walk them back a little bit more towards the feet. So we want to think about pulling the mid back up and then sending the hips really far forward, head falls back. One more inhale here. And then as you exhale, come back up and sit the hips back, finding the heels. Let the chin drop in gently towards the chest. Maybe you roll the neck from one side to the other. And if your transition out of camel pose isn't graceful, don't worry, mine certainly was not either. And we'll take one more round of camel pose. So coming back onto the shins. And then the toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever you prefer, whatever feels more stable to you. Inhale, hands come to low back, elbows peel open as if they could meet behind you. And then pulling the chest up and back, sending the hips forward. And maybe this time the hands reach down and find the ankles or the heels. Head falls back. Hips press forward, squeezing into the glutes. Next inhale is going to take you gently out of the pose. Lifting the chest up, sitting the hips back towards the heels. And then again, maybe taking some half circles with the neck. Letting the chin fall down towards the chest and then letting the ear roll over towards the shoulder. Or maybe it feels better to just let your head drop, chin towards chest, and let it release the back of the neck. And once you're ready, we're going to cross over the ankles and extend the legs long out in front of you. And from here, right knee is going to bend. The sole of the right foot comes to the inner thigh of the left leg. And then start to walk the fingertips forward, letting the torso fold over the left leg. Inhales, chest pulls forward. And then exhale, let the spine release, head rolls over the knee. And if you're quite flexible and you're finding that this isn't enough, you're more than welcome to take a block under the sole of the left foot. Maybe the fingertips wrap around it. And give a little extender to your leg. And letting the outer right knee fall heavy towards the floor. And then inhaling, rolling up slowly, gently. And from here, right knee's going to come to point up. Right foot steps outside of the left thigh. And then taking the left arm to hug around the right outer knee, coming into a gentle twist. Option to keep that bottom leg extended, or if you'd like to bend it and take the outer edge of the left leg towards the floor, more than welcome. The inhales, find spaciousness between each vertebra. And the exhales allow you to find a little bit of additional twist if it's there. And the inhale rolls you back through the center, unraveling the twist. And then extending the left leg long if you didn't have it there already. And we're going to take a counter twist over towards the left, so fingertips come behind you. And you're going to unravel the twist and bring the inner side of the right leg towards the mat and come to the belly for a half frog. So a bit of an odd transition, but we're winding up on the belly with the right leg bent at about a 90-degree angle. Inner side of the right thigh coming towards the floor. I've been trying to place with some more fun transitions in the slower part of class at the end. Just to keep you on your toes, even as we start to wind down. Keeping you mindful and connected in the transitions as much as possible, even in the slower portions of class. And then the next time you take an inhale, you'll take the hands to plant underneath of the shoulders and press yourself back up the way you came. So pressing up and then pivoting back towards the top of your mat. And we'll just come through the seat with the leg extended and take it to the second side. So the left knee bends, left sole of the foot to the inner right thigh. And then taking the fingertips to walk forward any amount. Again, the block is there if you'd like to add an extension onto your right leg. Intensify the stretch a little bit. And entirely your choice here if you prefer to have a more active variation of this pose where you're putting in some effort to lengthen the spine forward and open across the chest, or you can let the chest release heavy. But if you're finding you're rounding over a keyboard all day, you might want to opt for the lengthening version. Counter all that rounding that you're doing throughout the day. And your next inhale will take you gently to rise back up. We transition, left knee points towards the ceiling, left sole of the foot to the mat, and then step that foot to the outside of the right thigh, coming into the twist. So right arm hugs around. Option to bend into the bottom knee and pull the right heel in towards the left glute. And fingertips can tent behind you to help traction you gently into the twist. And brought across the chest here. And then if the bottom knee is bent, You'll unravel it back to extend long. When we twist over towards the right, unraveling, fingertips come behind you, and then rolling all the way to the belly, making your way into the half frog. Left knee is bent this time. Maybe you prefer to be more up on the forearms for a Sphinx variation, or you can make a pillow with the hands. Let the head fall heavy into the hands. And wherever you are, trying to let any tension that you're holding on to release. Melting towards the floor, heavy. Surrendering. And then when you take your next inhale, hands are planting underneath of the shoulders. And then press your way back. Coming back the way we came. And we're gonna set up for a heart opener pose that I love to take sometimes as a replacement for my Shavasana. So blocks can be set up one of two ways, either in an equal sign, like so, or you can bring them to a T so that the block closer to the body is more in the vertical position, and the one that's going to be for your head is the horizontal position. You can also take this back one down a level. This will create a little bit more of a heart opener for you. So from here, we roll back onto the blocks. If the blocks are in the equal sign configuration, you want to take the first block right to the mid back. And if it's vertical, you're rolling down all the way along on the spine. And then the head falls back into the other block. You may have to fidget a little bit to find a position that is sustainable for you. Hands can either come towards the rib cage or low belly, or they can splay out wide. Soles of the feet can stay planted, knees bent. Maybe the knees knock in. Or you can come into a Supta Baddha Konasana variation, so soles of the feet together, knees wide. Legs can also extend long, similar to a Shavasana. So if you're rounding forward all day, this can be a really lovely place to stay for a few minutes and open across the chest. Let gravity pull the fronts of the shoulders wide and down towards the floor. But if this is really feeling constricted and not so nice in the body, you're more than welcome to roll off the blocks and take a more traditional Shavasana here. Or if you don't have blocks at home, you can take a Shavasana. You can also try and find books of a similar size. Or maybe you have a towel you can roll under the spine and then bring a pillow under the head. But wherever you end up, we'll just take a few minutes here. Breathing, allowing the body to feel the benefits of all the physical effort you just put in. Allowing the heart to open here. And maybe if it started out very uncomfortable, you're noticing it's starting to shift a little bit. Sometimes discomfort in a pose isn't necessarily a bad thing at the beginning. It's important that we learn to differentiate discomfort from pain. It certainly may be uncomfortable to lay on blocks. The edges are pressing into the muscles. It's maybe not very pleasant at the beginning, but if we're diligent about giving it a try and being patient, you can really start to feel the benefits. So much of our world today is rushing one thing into the next. Everything overstimulating. We have the ability to demand things and then have them nearly immediately. And it's more important than ever to practice patience, to exercise this muscle that we are hardly ever required to use anymore. So this is where I will leave you for practice today. You're more than welcome to stay in your Shavasana as long as you have time for. But I want to extend my gratitude for those that stayed until the end of the class. And again, a gentle reminder, please do consider donating to Palestine's Children's Relief Fund. Thank you so much for your presence and your breath. And I will see you in the next class.